Great afternoon. Great afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Happy Winning Wednesday. Happy Wealthy Wednesday to everyone. Welcome to the Legacy Lab, 60 minutes of Black financial freedom. We will be talking about ways to increase wealth in the Black community and all of the above. I am your host, Stephanie Miller Henderson, and you are tuned into the Legacy Lab podcast every Wednesday afternoon at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on IntellectualRadio.com. You can view, listen to, hear this podcast on all podcast platforms, but please do visit Intellectual Radio's YouTube channel and subscribe. Also, go on over to my YouTube channel at Stephanie Miller Henderson, the Black Legacy Lab, and subscribe there as well for further content. I am I just feel like I just need to take a breath. Okay. It has been a busy week. Um, I first want to definitely, as always, give a shout out to Earl and Wanda for creating this space and this platform for over a decade, giving people like myself, just professionals, business owners, people from the area, the community that just want to share something, want to lift their voice in a variety of subject matter. So shout out to Earl and Wanda for all that they do. Continue blessings upon everything here at Intellectual Radio and increase in positivity and all the great things. Thank you to those that are tuning in via Facebook Live. Please, if you are on any of the social media platforms, definitely go and follow me at Stephanie Miller Henderson on all of the social media platforms. And let me know your thoughts, connect with me, send me a message. I definitely would love to hear your voice and hear your thoughts and your feedback on many of the things that are discussed here on the Legacy Lab. While the foundation is wealth building and legacy building in the Black community, there are many topics that may be touched upon because it is connected to our money, right? It's connected to our ability to build wealth. And so, one of those things we will kind of get into in a few minutes. But first, again, thank you so much for tuning in to the Legacy Lab here on Intellectual Radio every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So last Wednesday, I missed you. It was a busy week. Definitely a heavy week emotionally. I will definitely share because I'm grateful for what I consider a win for my family. Last Wednesday, we were in court all day. We were in court all week because we were finally in trial for a case involving the murder of my brother. There are many of you out there that may be listening that have dealt with the traumatic experience of gun violence in the city of Chicago, across many big cities across the country, and just in the world. Right, gun violence is prevalent, and so I'm saddened to say that my family and I have definitely experienced it firsthand. And so in this seventh year since the incident occurred, we feel that we have received some justice. And so we can now definitely, trauma is forever present. The cycle of grief, it is a cycle. And so it goes round and round. And the grieving process, you continue to, you're in this continual state of grief, right? But it gets better. And especially thanks be to God, because if I did not have a relationship with him, who knows where I would be. And so I'm super grateful and thankful to those of you that have prayed for me and prayed for my family, those of you that know and love and are friends of my brother. I'm definitely wearing a t-shirt in his honor that reads, that I've done speak for me. And I definitely would say that, he was definitely a man that wore many hats, great character, definitely a builder. And you can definitely hear some of his songs on Apple Music or whatever music platforms um, under Bullet B. And I definitely just, I'm just so grateful because it was heavy. Definitely Thursday was heavy. It was an all day process, um, early morning to late at night. But God is good. He is better than good. And so, again, I'm grateful and definitely praying for all of those, not just in this beautiful city of Chicago, but all of you listening and all of you across the globe that have experienced gun violence in some way, shape, or form. So, that part is out of the way. Thank you. Great afternoon, Adonis. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you again to all of you that are tuning in via Facebook, via YouTube, all of the platforms. Look, so in the news, there's so much going on. There's so much going on as it relates to our economic life, our ability to thrive, our ability to survive. Let me just say that, not even to thrive, um, but our ability to survive. But I saw an image on social media regarding Jalen Hurts. And when I see images, I do my due diligence. I look around a bit, I Google a bit, I try to read a bit and see, where the source is coming from and if it's, some validity to it. Unless of course I lived it and I know that it's valid, right? Because it's my own lived experience. It's a shared experience. But Jalen Hurts, I saw an image of Jalen Hurts and, the NFL superstar just won the Super Bowl, giving his high school janitor what appeared to be one of those large checks. I couldn't see the amount on the check from the image, but it was a check. And Jalen Hurts visited his old high school and saw that his favorite janitor was still working at the school to provide for his family at the age of 79. And so apparently, and what the story was saying is that Jalen Hurts, did it extended a kind gesture and gave the janitor something. I can't say what that amount was because I couldn't see it. But gave the janitor um, something that would help him to take care of his family. And so I thought that was absolutely amazing because it's many people in the world that have wealth or they have access to lots of money. But not everyone chooses to give, especially to people that are not related to them, or I guess that where it's like not necessarily let's say a beneficial relationship, right? You're giving because you're going to be getting something like some type of business deal or whatever. And so that was really refreshing to see, and I shared that out in social media world. But then another image that I saw was something related to the Target sales. And we've been talking about Target and the Target boycott that started taking place once Target started rolling back uh, all of their DEI policies. But their sales dropped tremendously, as you may know, in the first quarter, if you've been following the story. Um, but retailers, the retailer, I'm sorry, those that are in the corporate office, the executives, they say that more of the decreases are coming. And that is due to the impact that the tariffs, and I have to laugh at that. It's not funny. It's definitely not funny. the things that we are seeing that are happening that are slowly trickling down and will impact us in our pockets, right? So the tariffs and the economy is contributing to that as it relates to Target. And we know that the boycott definitely had a big part of that decrease that the retailer saw. There was a really large number that I saw on social media, but then there was a different number that was presented in an actual news article. But we'll just say it's a whole lot of money. It's very much close to the $1 billion mark and then some. But meanwhile, another retailer that many of you patronize, Walmart, has already began to raise prices. Now, I have not I shared my story about Target some time ago, maybe a few weeks ago when I was talking about the Target boycott. That I had stopped supporting Target long ago based off of, again, my own personal lived experiences of the Target in my community. So that was my decision prior to prior to the new administration, the new president that's in office, and all the things that's happening as it relates to DEI. But Walmart is the same. I I guess, I just started to become more conservative with my spending, because what used to happen for me is probably similar to what happens for most of you. You go into stores like this and then you find yourself going down this hole, right? You go in for one or two items and you come out with 10 to 15 or maybe more. And so I had to, for personal reasons, sometimes take a stance for my own personal reasons and have discipline. But then, of course, as you do your research and you read and you talk to people and you see things, um you kind of learn how, a lot of these stores, while they may appear to be beneficial to the community for jobs, when you dig a little bit deeper and then you see that they're all leaving with that same excuse of, like, it was a loss prevention reason, or aka theft, you start to question, right? Yes. Carlithia, hey, great afternoon. Yes, looking for something to buy, something that's not even on the list. But Walmart, like I said, has already began to raise prices. I wouldn't know because I haven't been on some items due to tariffs. And I know small business owners personally that have shared that the tariff war is impacting their productivity. So, while many of us watch the news, we shake our heads and we feel like it doesn't apply to us, it all applies. We are all connected. It is going to come to your doorstep in some shape, form, or fashion. So, Walmart is saying that due to the tariffs and, you know, there are going to be more price hikes. So during the summer, and this is according to a ABC News report that I was reading, so in the summer, and especially when you think about back to school, right? I know Chicago public schools will head back to school in August. So summer shopping for school supplies and uniforms and all of the things, um, people are going to see price hikes. What does that mean definitively? Like, for a consumer, for a customer, what does that mean? So in the article, it stated that in consumer terms, a car seat that's made in China that sells at Walmart for $350 will cost customers another $100. And this is according to executives. So this is not just numbers I'm making up out of the sky. This is according to the people in the corporate office, the big executives, the ones that's making way more money than the people that's in at the cash register, right? $100. So a car seat made in China let's say by the end of the summer, could potentially be $450. Almost half of $1,000 for a car seat. All right. And so that's putting it in terms for, those of us that actually do the shopping so that you understand. So you won't be like digging into your receipt wondering why is my bill higher than normal? And you may have already started wondering that, right? You may already be feeling that. But stay woke, people. Keep your eyes open, stay diligent, and make sure you are securing additional income streams. Do not do not wait. And I want to say the storm is here. Um but do not wait for the storm before you fix your leaky roof, right? You already know what you're working with. You already know what's on the horizon. So prepare. It's responsible to prepare, to start looking for things and opportunities, to do your research, do your due diligence, because you and your family and your community deserves it, right? And so that's where we are here on the Legacy Lab, where we focus on wealth, we focus on legacy, we focus on income, we focus on opportunities for the Black community to become financially free. And so we are in the month of May. We have 10 days left in this month, to be exact. And I love to put a timestamp on things because it helps to create some sense of urgency for those of us. And I hope you're one of those people that go into the new year with some goals in mind, right? You have some people that strategically plan their life 5 to 10 years. And I'm not going to say some people, I'm going to say wealthy people. They strategically plan their lives 5 to 10 years in advance, just like they do for business, right? Because your life is a business. If you think about it, your life is a business. Your family is a business. And a lot of times, the woman of the house is the CEO. I'm just calling. Don't get mad at me, men. Don't get mad. I'm just calling it like I see it. I'm just keeping it real. The women are the CEO of that corporation, and for all great reasons. And men don't. A lot of men don't get mad at that. They allow a woman to just drive and do what she needs to do, and that's a blessing. Um, but yes, run it like a business. Well, how much greater would our families be, right, if we ran it like a business? Some of you probably thinking right now, like, who would I fire? Who would I write up today in the family? We were running it like a business. But May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so the focus this month has been on money and mental health and like that intersectionality. And so not last week, but the week before last, I talked about two organizations that I came across. One was in the United Kingdom and one here in Chicago in the United States, right? And so I was super excited. And, if you're listening and you know anyone that is, from the Financial Health Network in Chicago, definitely make the connection. I would love to hear from someone in that office, in that network, and the great work that they are doing to make sure people are financially well. That's what we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about during this month of May. We're talking about your money and your mental health. Now, many of you can attest to the stress and the anxiety that a lack of finances and I'm not even going to say a lack necessarily, but definitely a lack. But sometimes, you have finances and it's just um not knowing how to utilize them wisely. That can create some stress and some anxiety as well. Right? You've heard the phrase more money, more problems. Or the phrase or the rap. I'm not even going to get into it because that might lead me to talking about the case because I'm thinking about the individual the song that's popping in my mind. So I'm going to leave that alone. But financial wellness. So I love, I utilize like a lot of, I won't say a lot, but I look through, articles, definitely peer reviewed articles oftentimes because I'm currently in my research phase. I'm wrapping up this dissertation. And so, I'm always reading and looking and researching some things. Because again, making sure you have a source that's credible is really important. So when I was looking for, information around financial wellness, just real quick and at my fingertips, I came across an article on WebMD that gave some really I feel like some good basic information around financial wellness. And just definitively, financial wellness is a state where you're able to fully meet your money related needs right now and later on in life. So it has to do with, your present. It has to do with your financial planning, if you will, for your future. And I'm going to take it a step further because that's what I lift up here on this platform is what happens when you're no longer here, because that is important as well. When we talk about legacy, that's where legacy comes in at. Is when you are no longer here, what are you leaving for your lineage? That's important. So any type of financial discomfort is it leads to some financial stress, right? It leads to poor financial wellness, which can then lead to mental health issues and concerns. In the article, in that WebMD article, the author said that experts have found that financial issues are at the top. It's the top contributor to chronic stress. And this is even more than like politics, work life, family life, because that's stressful. Especially today, it's like you want to turn off the TV and keep it off, but you also, need to read and read, watch, however, what's happening right in the world. So it's a thin line with that. But financial issues are the top contributors to chronic stress. So you have to lean into this thing. So low financial wellness and low financial literacy. Now, we know that literacy is your ability to obtain like that knowledge to be able to even start to plan what that looks like for you and your family. But a low financial wellness and low financial literacy, that the knowing can lead to high financial stress. So I want to say, I'm thinking of, being in the school setting as a school counselor. When when I saw a program, a digital program where I can teach financial literacy that I could utilize and leverage to teach financial literacy to middle school students, I jumped on it. I jumped on the opportunity to do that. Anytime we're having conversations regarding what is your life going to look like post high school, money comes up. We're talking about it. I'm talking about it with 11, 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. And today, the resources are so vast. I see resources that you can utilize with someone as early as kindergarten. Now, while you may feel personally like they don't need to know that right now, given what we see today, we're in 2025. And there are some people that have 2035 money. I'm going to say that again. We are in 2025, and there are some people that have 2035 money. So, how dare we think that because you're 5 or 6 years old, we cannot discuss finances with you? My nephew, some time ago, I can't even say if this was in 2022. Was it a 20? Maybe it was 2023, which means he 4? He probably was 4. And he wanted to sell cupcakes. And I have a picture that I posted, and I was super proud of him. My mom, was helping. She was preparing the cupcakes, right? So she's the production, and he would present the products and he would get the cash. So, I would share with him, like, you are a businessman. You have a business, and say all the things. And there was one time where he asked me if I wanted to buy a cupcake. Now, I had already bought like 2 cupcakes. So this was on another occasion when I saw him, and he's like, asking me if I wanted to buy some cupcakes. But the cupcakes they weren't produced yet. So I said, well, okay, I'm going to give you this money for my cupcake, and, let me know when I could get my cupcake. So I saw him again, still no cupcake. I engaged him in that conversation, like, hey, I paid for my cupcake. What's going on? He said, my grandma didn't make any yet. So I said, well, I said, you're a businessman and you want to do good business. And so you got to talk to your grandma to make sure, she knows it pretty much, that she knows that you got to get an order out, right? So I'm saying all that to say, look, he wasn't even in kindergarten yet, but we were literally having, just that simple. We were literally having a conversation about finances, financial literacy. I was teaching him financial literacy, right? And business. Just that simple. For a $2 cupcake. That was an expensive little cupcake. Now that I think about it. But right? When they're so cute, I probably would have paid $5 for that cupcake. That's the thing. And so, again, I want to say it's never too early. That's the moral of the story of what I'm saying. It's never too early to get the word out. And so imagine that as that child grows and things start shifting in the household, and you may have a 12-year-old that can contribute financially to the household. You may not want them to, but I'm just saying we've seen that in cultures, right? Where that happens, where you're actively teaching them how to have some skin in the game as it relates to the bills, the food, and all the workings of this family business, right? Even if you have them, if they're doing things and they're getting an allowance, and I know that there are plenty of people that may believe, that you shouldn't pay. Not like you're paying a child or a teenager to do a chore, but allowance again is that way of showing or building those financial literacy skills, because then you can then further the conversation. It's a teachable moment, right? You can further the conversation and talk about, what they can do with that money. I even some time ago, I saw a article, or maybe it was a post. I can't remember who it was from, but it said, what if you had been charging, like, your teenager or your young adult, maybe, um rent each month, and then let's say after that college year period, 4 years, 4 to 6 years, um you presented them with a check, like, that you never took the money to spend it, but in a sense they were depositing the money. They didn't know it necessarily, but they were depositing the money. So now you present them with this check that they actually contributed. Now that's a form of teaching as well, because now you just showed them the magnitude of saving, putting something to the side and not touching it. So 4 or 5 years, 6 years down the line, if they were giving you $250 or $500 a month, imagine the seed that you are now about to sow into them when that 4 to 6 year period ends. Talk about relieving stress on a young adult or college student that you maybe say maybe they want to move out, or whatever have you. But imagine that, because there are some of us that out here that felt that pressure at 22, 23, 24, and were making moves and doing things and did not have the finances to do so. And so talk about creating this cycle then of debt, which of course leads to the stress and the anxiety and the depression as a young person. And imagine all of that being compounded. So again, there is no separation, I want to say, of your money, your finances, and your mental health. And that's what this article is lifting up. Because first it talks about that intersectionality between your money and your mental health, and then it starts to go into your physical health and your mental health. It's all connected. And so that is the focus for May. That's the focus. It's your money and your mental health. If you are out there and you are a clinician, you are a financial expert, a professional on any level in money management or any of the things, and you would like to come to be a guest in studio, or you want to call in and be a guest, definitely connect with me. Send me a message. Get in touch with me via Facebook, or just give me a call or send me a text at 708-658-4735. 708-658-4735. Call me, send me a text and let me know, like, hey, I want to contribute to this conversation. Maybe you have a business or a program or organization that is all around, financial wellness and mental health. I would love to hear from you. I would love to share the platform with you, because this is all about educating the people. I want to actually kind of wrap up with this. Um Experts, we're talking about this mental health and financial wellness working in a cycle. So if one of them is not well, the other is not well. It works in a cycle. And let me point, something else just popped into my mind. Let me also just point out, when we have money in our pocket, when we have money in the bank, you feel better. You feel better. But then imagine being able to prolong that feeling. That comes from financial planning. That is where the financial literacy piece comes in. It's like, how can I take this that I physically see with my eyes, in my pocket, or in my bank account, and make it flow like water, like a river, like a lake, like an ocean? This continual flow, perpetual cash, as I call it. That is the key. So then that feeling that you feel It's like all your burdens are lifted a little bit. You just feel better. You smiling. You just, and if you like me, you want to share with everybody. I want to share anyway, but I just want to give it to everybody. I want to make sure everybody is straight for everybody. I'm like, treat everybody, the whole block. Let's just whomever, right? That's me. That's what I want to do. So imagine being able to create that because you have this cycle, if you will. Now, this is serious, you all. Experts found that people who are in severe financial trouble are 3 times more likely to think about suicide. Now, it didn't say 3 times more likely to commit suicide, but there may be some of you that are listening that have been there, that had a thought in your mind that if you could, because your problem with your money issue, your financial issue was so deep, because I know I'm saying money, but we got to think about it. The money connects to your ability to feed your family, your ability to pay your bills on time, your ability to respond to emergencies that happen in your household, your ability to take care of health care, your ability to take care of debt that you may have accumulated. So I'm saying money, but it's your livelihood. It's your lifestyle. And then on top of that, you're seeing imagery of things that you want, that you desire, that you wish that you could have, right? Which we should never, covet anything we're looking at, because definitely if God has blessed someone else that you see, he surely can bless you just the same or better. And so, but when you're in that issue, you're not thinking that way. You don't have those positive and optimistic thoughts because that stress and that anxiety and that depression is weighing heavy on you. And so that's what the article said. It said that they are 3 times, people who are in severe financial trouble are 3 times more likely to think about suicide. And that severity started somewhere, right? It didn't just happen there. It started with that one late payment, or that, then it goes to 3, then it goes to 6, because you're shuffling and you, what we say, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then you robbing all 12 disciples at some point. And so when you don't have the access to mental health care, this is what the article is saying, it's difficult to seek help. But I want to let you all know, if you're listening and that's your story, there are resources for you. And I want to impress upon you the importance of having a spiritual connection. Now, you may not serve the God that I serve, but I'm going to tell you that at some point, you have to be able to have vision. You have to be able to have hope. And those things don't come from what you see with your 2 eyes. It comes from what your mind can fathom, right? It comes from your ability to see yourself not in that depressive state, not in that severe financial issue. So you have to be able to see yourself on the other side. And that's what we call hope. And then that hope starts to make you want to act it out, that faith kicks in, and all that comes from a spiritual connection. So there is help, whether it's you don't have a pastor or a church. There are community centers. There are local, you can dial. If I always say, if you in Chicago, please dial 311. Please dial 311 and get access to the resources. Many of you have access to Wi-Fi. Even if you don't have Wi-Fi at home, if you go to sit in a McDonald's parking lot, you have access to Wi-Fi, or any public place that has Wi-Fi. We have a great library system in our city. And I shout out the library. I use it frequently. I love the library. And so, but if you are in a crisis, a state of crisis, a mental health crisis, then you definitely should dial 988, and that's wherever you are, because it's serious. Your mental health is important. And again, we may not all have a mental health disorder, but we all need to take care of our mental health. We all have mental health. Your stress may be at a minor level right now, but it can elevate to chronic stress if you do not take care of certain things daily. Now, I am nowhere near where I want to be financially, nowhere near where in my mind I see myself and my family, and I see my my future. I see children that I'll never even meet because I just won't live that long. I see children that I'll never even meet financially secure because of the work that I'm doing right now to prepare. Right? It starts somewhere. All the people that you see that are wealthy, that are rich, that have resources and that are doing great charitable things across the globe, it started somewhere. And at first it started within the mind. Right? So can you imagine yourself living an abundant life? And I want to just end with this too. As a believer, I shared this yesterday with someone that what I envision about heaven and what the Bible says when it talks about, you know, the continual and perpetual praise and mansions and gold. And I just envision, just grandness and just a praise party and just no lack, right? No sickness, none of those things. And so what is loosed in heaven is loosed on earth, and what is bound in heaven is should be bound on earth. And so what that means is that you can align with heaven, right? That there is nothing that says that you should struggle and you should be in poverty and you should live paycheck to paycheck. You say that. So once you stop saying that and speaking that and acting that way as it relates to your life, that's the first step. The first step is seeing yourself on the other side of that thing, right? Because if I say that I serve an abundant God, there's no way that I should be stressed and have anxiety and depression because I'm struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. I'm just saying. Because at some point my faith is going to match my feet, my movement, what I'm doing. And that's what it is, you all. You have to start somewhere. Take one step. I talk a lot about finding something to invest in. The opportunities are endless. I made my decision on what business I wanted to pursue, the one that is my wealth building avenue or vehicle, if you will. And I made my decision based off of usability, based off of, is it easy? Is it fun? Is it exciting? Is it sustainable? What were the risk low? Was the cost low? And I had yes, 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 all down the line. And so that's how I made my decision. So however you want to choose to make the decision, make the decision. It's mandatory. It's mandatory. Right now, the government is one step closer, the administration is one step closer to gutting Medicaid. What does that mean? That there will be thousands, thousands, thousands of individuals without health care. So you might think it doesn't matter, but think about your family. Think about the people that may be utilizing Medicaid or Medicare. There's a difference, right? One 65 and older, the other is for those that are not. And so that impacts people in your life, people in your community, people in your church. So you may think it's not your fight, but it is your fight. I live by the motto that if my brother and my sister are not okay, then I'm not okay. Because really, you're not, because we're all connected on some level. And so once we start to think like that, we will realize we will attach ourselves to a cause and get behind it. And we will just live our lives better so that, our light can help lead someone else on the right path. And so we're going to continue this money and mental health conversation. I thank you for listening in. I thank you for tuning in to the Legacy Lab. And I look forward to you joining me next Wednesday. I'm looking forward to having, some phenomenal guests coming down the line. So you want to make sure you don't miss it, because you're going to learn some things. You might have to grab your notebook and your pen for the Legacy Lab. But thank you so much for tuning into the Legacy Lab. I'll see you or hear you. I won't see you. This is just such a habit to say I'll see you. We will connect. You will hear me next week at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in.